HBO's Succession is my favorite current TV show and the best current TV show in my opinion. If you've seen some of my other videos, that should come as no surprise to you. If you're interested in hearing exactly why I love Succession and why I think it's the best show on TV, click on the card on the top right-hand corner to check out my previous video on the show. For this video, however, I'm going to cut through all the fat and get to the meat of what's eating everyone's favorite slime puppy, Roman Roy. Compared to his many mishaps in the first 2 seasons, Roman had himself a pretty good season 3. He showed off some business savvy, demonstrated his networking and relationship building skills, and for a time, seemed like he was successfully angling for the coveted successor role. That is until that one scene. Roman's psychological makeup is cluttered, to say the least, and the circumstances that molded his mental state in that familiarly twisted disarray almost certainly occurred in his childhood. So, in this video, we're going to take a deep dive into the tidbits of information the show gives us about his character and his childhood to see if we can get to the bottom of why Roman Roy is such a sicko.
Yes, very serious.
One aspect of what, in my mind, lands Succession in the same S tier of shows such as Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, and Game of Thrones is its brilliant writing. The prowess of Succession's writing room is most clearly seen with the terrific dialogue. But in my opinion, the true skill of the writers is shown in the subtle way they showplace the depth of character with the smallest of morsels. Details as minuscule as an off-color comment, body language, or a drunken recollection of a repressed memory can give the audience a very revealing glance at the traumatic icebergs lingering under a character's surface. One such moment in which we get a look at an event that truly shaped Roman into who he is today, and what I think is his most revealing moment in the show, comes in Season 1, Episode 8. At Tom's bachelor party, Roman and Kendall are both courting the attention of their father's arch-nemesis, Sandy Furness. In the moment, Sandy's attention is fixed on Kendall. Feeling uncomfortable, irritated, and perhaps jealous, Roman begins spewing a stream of distracting dialogue to sabotage Kendall's business dealings. In Roman's golden stream, we find a sizable nugget of backstory, the dog pound anecdote. Considering the way Roman just blurted out this story, and just how strange it is to say something like this at a bachelor party, let alone in front of a potential business partner, we can speculate that the dog pound is something that weighs heavily on Roman's psyche, and who could really blame him? Being locked inside of a dog cage to eat dog food for an indiscernible amount of time at such a formative age is a pretty surefire recipe for some psychological havoc. But when Kendall and later Connor share their memories of the dog pound, it calls Roman's status as a reliable narrator into question. The elder brothers both corroborate that Roman wasn't forced to eat the dog food, and that he actually enjoyed his time being locked up in the dog pound. Knowing Roman's penchant for shame and humiliation, it isn't too earth-shattering to believe that Roman enjoyed the cage, but it makes me wonder why he misremembered his emotional state from that time. According to Roman's flimsy memory, the dog pound incident sparked a series of traumatic events to follow, which include a habit of wetting the bed, and ultimately ended with Roman being shipped off to military school at his father's behest. Roman appears like even more of an unreliable narrator when he grills Connor for more details. Connor confirms that Roman enjoyed the game, and informs Roman that he went to military school because he asked to go. That seems like a puzzling development until later in the episode when Kendall and Connor discuss the dog pound game on their own. First, Connor tells Kendall that he enjoyed the game also, and then delves into Logan's theory of the dog pound game.
Dad's theory was you got 2 fighting dogs, you send the weak one away, you punish the weak one, then everyone knows the hierarchy, then everyone's happy, so away he went.
The fact that Logan had a cutthroat theory to the dog pound game proves that he not only knew of the game's existence, but he actively encouraged the game and even optimized it to the end of establishing a hierarchy between the 2 siblings. In this way, Logan was grooming his kids to succeed his role as CEO from an age as young as 5. Instead of his love and approval for his sons being unconditional, it was made into a competition. A competition that Roman lost out to Kendall, likely due to the age and size differences between the two. Competition is a pretty normal thing for young kids, boys especially, and with the added incentive of approval from their normally stern father, it's clear why Kendall and Roman enjoyed the dog pound as kids, and why Kendall remembers the game fondly as the victor, while Roman associates the memory with supreme embarrassment and humiliation. It's also clear that being the loser at the dog pound game, and therefore being the weaker dog, had dire implications for Roman that continue to bleed into adulthood. It's very possible that the acknowledgement of his weakness, combined with his inner need for his father's approval, is what resulted in his desire to be sent to St. Andrews, military school being the symbol of toughening up, a boot camp where he could become worthy of being the top dog in the hierarchy and therefore earn affection from his father. Understanding this early childhood trauma, I believe, is the key that can help us understand Roman in the present. Throughout the 3 seasons of the show, we've seen how Roman's trauma keeps him obedient to his father. Anytime there's any hint of conflict between father and son, whatever sense of rebellion Roman had mustered up suddenly crumbles. Just like with Kendall and Shiv, Roman's key external objective is to be the top dog that succeeds their monolith of a father, but as the youngest and the most buffoonish of his siblings, he's always been at a bit of a deficit. Roman tries hard to make himself worthy, but after a while it seems that the vast majority of his business actions are driven by an internal need to secure that approval from Logan. We see that in Season 3 with the effort Roman puts into court Madsen, and we also see it in earlier seasons with him buying what he thinks is Logan's hometown soccer team, with the rocket launch, and with his decision to bite the bullet and go through with the demeaning management training program. The one thing in common with all of Roman's crusades to win his father's approval is that they all ultimately end with humiliation, something Roman is all too familiar with, and something that ends up becoming a perverse source of enjoyment for him. Despite Roman generally being a pretty crappy person, his one redeeming trait in the show is his wicked sense of humor. His sense of humor, however, is likely a defense mechanism used to deflect unpalatable emotions, and is definitely used as a way to project some of the inner humiliation he feels onto others. Besides the constant barrage of maligned humor he hurls at his father's lackeys like Frank and Carl, and at his siblings, Roman's habit of projecting his inner humiliation onto others is evident with incidents such as him jokingly threatening to sue his personal trainer, coercing a homeless man into getting a face tattoo, and callously tearing up $1 million check in front of a kid's face when he didn't hit a home run. It's hard to even summon up an urge to want to understand someone like Roman after that scene, but from Roman's twisted perspective, it's just a way to pin the humiliation on someone else and to alleviate himself from it. One of the more puzzling aspects of Succession is the source of Roman's sexual impotence. It's a complex issue for him that undoubtedly has an even more complex solution that I am in no way qualified to answer. But if you will allow a humble dude on the internet to speculate, I'd imagine that humiliation also lies at the root of this problem for Roman. If a significant slice of Roman's personality is fixated on projecting a sense of humiliation outwardly onto the world and those around him, it's safe to assume that the well of humiliation runs deep within himself. Operating on the belief that he is a humiliation to his prestigious family and therefore worthy of shame, Roman can only find arousal in scenarios that would elicit the kind of shame, humiliation, and disapproval he feels deep down is appropriate for him. Roman can only begin to perform with his girlfriend Tabitha when she pretends to not be breathing, and he can only relieve himself when Gerri is on the other side of the door verbally berating him. I think the reason Roman is unable to cultivate a healthy relationship in the show is because his conception of love and affection is inherently twisted through its childhood association with humiliation and shame. By commingling his inner turmoil with the ultimate source of pleasure, he can seek temporary relief from his proverbial demons. By the time we meet Roman, he can only find pleasure if it's hitching a ride on the coattails of pain. The healthiest relationship that Roman has in the show is the one he shares with Gerri. At times, Gerri genuinely provides Roman with the needed nurturing he doesn't get anywhere else. But their relationship is still toxic on several levels.
There's rumors of a
It's likely that Gerri tolerates and at times encourages Roman's advances to secure leverage for her own interests. In the season 3 finale, she ensures Roman understands that her interests will always supersede whatever relationship they have. Regardless, the obsession Roman has for Gerri is a point of curiosity. The taboo aspect of them as a couple is certainly a draw for Roman, but I believe there's more to it than that.
Gerri? You like Gerri? Oh, that's hilarious. You're fucking disgusting. Gerri? Ugh.
There is also the Freudian epidural angle Roman has with Gerri, but for me that angle is pretty abstract and a little too easy to make. Gerri's nurturing and demeaning duality is a draw to Roman without a doubt. I think another major draw is her disarming nature. For someone with the affluent and prestigious upbringing Roman had, he would have been nauseatingly used to people lobbying for his favor and tending to his every whim. For someone who matured into conflating humiliation for love, Roman is immune to any conventional method of seduction. Gerri is able to burrow under Roman's skin precisely because she's not interested in acquiring his approval. On the contrary, Gerri activates and catalyzes the inner humiliation that Roman has conflated for love. She's the only person who indulges him in a way in which he can alleviate that deep pain with momentary pleasure. That kind of person is very rare for Roman, and thus he protects and defends Gerri from any corporate attacks on her. While the source of a vast majority of Roman's issues can be traced back to childhood and the dog pound game, the ultimate culprit of his adulthood neurosis is Logan. Logan's raging narcissism and compulsion to dominate his environment alienated him from his children in their most formative years. It led him to the belief that he could chisel them into the ideal killers he needed them to be one day to take over his greatest love, the company he built. But instead of arming his children with the tools needed for success, his callousness maimed them emotionally in likely irreversible ways. Logan's cutthroat style of parenting created a hypnotic hold on his children, in which their actions continued to parallel childhood competition for their father's approval. This hold is arguably the strongest on Roman, as we've seen through his sycophantic dependence on his father. The season 3 finale displayed the true depths of Logan's narcissism. His need to win trumps all else, even the love of his children. The finale also marked a turning point for the Roy siblings and for Roman, who garnered the strength to not collapse under the weight of his father's stare. It was a step in the right direction for Roman, a signal of potential growth. But now, without the security he and his siblings once enjoyed, Season 4 will provide his tallest hurdles yet.
I don't know. Fucking love?
Love? You talk about love?
Dad, why?
Why? Because it works. I fucking win.